All right. Good evening, cyber friend, the middle man, coming at you again from Walks Music. Yet another word for today. We doing the Bible reading now, the yearly walk through the Word. As I told y'all, I started again. I finished up on Thanksgiving night with the yearly read through the Word. It was on Thanksgiving night I finished up the last few chapters in the Book of Revelation, and I started up again with the reading on December the 1st. So we are now up to the 35th chapter of Genesis. Again, we just got through with the life of Jacob leaving his father-in-law Laban. And he got his family together and everything. And so what we want to do now at this here particular point in time, other than giving God all the glory as usual and all the praise, and we thank Him for you, we want to go back now and review. I'm going to bring you up to date for what we already studied and read through thus far as of December the 1st. We got with the creation. We saw God making everything beautiful. Created everything for Adam. Before he even made Adam, he had everything already prepared for him. Then he brought him Eve. He brought him Eve, and he planted a garden, and he placed him in the garden for him to dress it and keep it. Everything was lovely. Here comes Satan. Then we know Satan deceived the woman, got her to eat the forbidden fruit, whatever it was. Could have been a tomato. I don't know what it was. But nevertheless, it was against God's will for them to have it. Therefore, they took it anyhow. Adam, flat-footed, just disobeyed completely because at least the woman was deceived. He wasn't. He knew what he was doing. And we see that they were driven from the garden. Then they went on out and first murder happened. Cain slew his brother Abel. One thing after another. And they had more sons and daughters, and they went on. The earth began to populate a little bit. Then God got to the place where man had got so violent on the earth, even the thoughts was evil only continually. God decided, I'm going to destroy them all. But Noah found grace. So God spared the world once again by one man, obedience. Noah finding grace, and he spared the whole world again. He saved a remnant of the animals and the fowls of the air, and only 8 people that was inside the ark was saved from the flood, and everything else worldwide was destroyed. God destroyed them. Then we see God bringing back forth mankind over the face of the earth, wanted them to spread out, but man had another bright idea with the aid of Nimrod that they were going to stay in the land of Shinar. They weren't going to spread over the world. They were going to stay right there. Build them a tower up to heaven just in case it would be another flood. They figured they can get out of it. Man, smart. Now, because we are made in the image of God, remember? We smart. And so God disturbed that plan. He said, let us go down and confound their languages. God came down. Holy Spirit, Son, Father, Holy Ghost came down and dispersed the language and made them spread out like they wanted them to. Then we see God dealing with a man named Abraham. And God came and told Abraham to get out from his father's house, leave his country, go somewhere that he was going to show him where to go. And then they would take it up from there. Well, we see Abraham had another son, Ishmael. So this is why I tell people, don't be mad at the Arabs. People, there ain't no sense being mad at the Arabs. Ishmael is their father. And he was Abraham's son too. Ishmael was just as much Abraham's son as was Isaac. So you you can't hate the Arab and say you love Isaac, the Jew. You can't hate them because they both come from Abraham. So in other words, but that's another story. But we know that Abraham had Ishmael first, but he wasn't the child of promise. Isaac was the child of promise. So we see we had a conflict there. But nevertheless, as you see, we saw where Sarah passed as well as Abraham. And at the passing of Abraham, Isaac and Ishmael was at peace. That was no animosity between Ishmael and Isaac. They was at peace. Matter of fact, Ishmael came back to the land. Him and Isaac were together when they buried their father. And then we know that Isaac had Jacob. Well, Jacob and Esau they were twins. And even though Jacob tricked Esau out of the birthright, but if you notice, and that's where we are now in the Bible reading, where he had went down back to Syria, and he had got Jacob had married Rachel and Leah, and he had got he had became rich down there with Laban. He was on his way back to his own land and met Esau. They was in peace. Esau and Jacob kissed each other. They were glad to see each other. In other words, two brothers reunited together. So you see, they wasn't even at odds with each other. Why is it all this odd with each other now? Why is the Israelites and the Arabs and the Jews, the Jews or the Arabs, how you want to call them, Muslims, they can't get along now? I'll tell you why. It's because of the devil. The same reason me and you can't get along. And that's what it is. It's called the devil, the devil. This is why the devil got that hatred against them two people. Those are two brothers' children. The Jews and the Arabs are two brothers' children. They are first cousins. People, I believe if a lot of the other people would get out their business, I believe they can get along. I know if the devil get out of it, they could. But we do know the devil ain't going to never stop. The only somebody going to make the devil behave is Jesus himself. Now see, Jesus already defeated Satan. But his end going to come just a little while later. He's just a little bit more, and the devil shall be no more. All sin and evil going to be put away with. But until that day, we just going to have to learn to fight. And so people, that's what we are now in the Bible reading for the year. We read at the time now where Jacob is going back to his land. He's rich now. He got all his kids. Joseph is born and everything. Joseph, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Benjamin had been born too at that time, because Rachel died in childbirth. Rachel died having Benjamin. Rachel died in childbirth, and that was so sad because that was the one that Jacob really was. He really loved Rachel. That was his love of his life. He was crazy about it. He didn't really love Leah, but that Leah was a byproduct. But at any rate, that's where we are now in the Bible reading. Jacob is on his way back to his homeland. He done met and made peace with Esau. Now the saga begins, and we're going to see how everything going to unfold in these next chapter as Jacob rears up his sons. And they're going to go through, matter of fact, in this here particular chapter, between chapters 30 and 35, Jacob had one daughter named Dinah, and Dinah was raped. She was taken advantage of by one of the guys of Shechem, Shadar, and what happened then? Simeon and Levi, her brothers, they did not like it. They had defiled their sister, and so they tricked them into all the men of Shechem, in other words, in their kingdom, that they would be circumcised. And then they said, if all the men would agree to be circumcised, then they could marry their women, and then they'll marry their women. But Simeon and Levi never meant that to be. They were tricking them because they were going to kill them. And that's exactly what Simeon and Levi did. They had all the men of Shechem and Shechem men to be circumcised. And seeing that they were all sore, they couldn't fight. And Simeon and Levi came and killed every man in the city. Killed every one of them. So that's where we are now in the reading through the word, the yearly read. And we are not even in Christmas yet. And we already done got to the point of just about where Joseph is just about getting ready to be thrown into the pit. And we're going to see in the process of time in the next few chapters how Joseph grew up, how his father favored him with the multicolored coat and all, and how Jacob is going to be, first of all, thrown into a pit for dead, then raised out of the pit to be sold in Egypt, and then after being sold in Egypt, he's going to become a slave in Potiphar's house. He's going to be reared up to number one in Potiphar's house. Then his wife, Potiphar's wife, going to tell a lie on him and have him thrown in jail because she wanted to lay with him and he wouldn't, and she gonna have him put in prison falsely for a lie she told. Joseph going to spend 13 years in prison for something he didn't do. But God ordained the people. God was with him. And then you're going to see him come out of the prison into the palace in one day. So that's where we are right now. We just saying we hope that whatever you get into, if God ain't in it, it's best you come out of it. Me and you both, because it's going to come to nothing. We just saying, people, be careful as you go around from during this holiday season. Don't get so caught up into the shopping and the drinking and the festivities and all that until you lose your mind and forget and stop looking in your surroundings. Be so ever careful of your surrounding people. I'm a firm believer in that. I've always been very, like I say, a cautious type person. But it's when I went in the military, that even enhanced that. Be careful of your surroundings. Some of us, we just get blind-eyed when we get so caught up into festivity and going to the stores and buying and shopping and drinking and eating and until we forget about being alert of our surroundings and everything. People, we got a real devil out there, and he's seeking to kill, steal, and destroy. And he don't. And guess what? Guess who his target is? You and I. He takes no prisoner. He don't care no more for you than he do me. He don't care nothing for us. Period. So be careful, people, when you're out there. Have some sense. Be alert. Don't lose your mind just because of a little Christmas stocking present and stuff like that, or a little dressing and ham or Coca-Cola. Don't lose your life because of a little bit of stuff like that. Enjoy yourself, but be aware of your surroundings. Take your time. Enjoy the season. Don't become a statistic of the season. Enjoy yourself, but know how to do it. That's all we saying. This is Minnie Man. Till the next time, peace and goodbye.